I wanted to confirm that I'm in the right place before I make my statement. And start addressing people. So coming late, but at least I was also just in the same mission of 2 terms. So head of public service, you give me a few minutes to make my statement. Forgive me if I repeat what people have said, but it will be in one direction. So head of public service, allow me first to welcome you and every officer in this hall to Bungoma County, to Kibabi University, a house of learning that itself stands as testimony to what deliberate, patient investment in Western Kenya can be. It's fitting that we gather here because what we can, it is the record of the government's work measured against the lives of the people who sent us to serve them. I stand before you today not merely as your governor of Bungoma County, but as a chief executive who has sat across the table from this administration for close to 4 years, negotiating for my people, pushing for our fair share, and watching project by project what has been delivered. I did not come here to recite slogans. I come to give you an account as one who has kept the books. The Nehemiah Standard. When Nehemiah stood before the broken walls of Jerusalem, he did not organize the people around grievances. He organized them around a plan. Come, let us rebuild. And when the wall was finished in 52 days, even his enemies had to admit that the work had been accomplished by the hand of God, because it has been done with such speed and such purpose. Nehemiah 6:15-16. That is the standard by which I ask you as technocrats who understand implementation better than any politician does to judge the last 4 years in Western Kenya, not by promise but by words that stand. In agriculture, most of you are aware that the sugar sector meant a lot for Bungoma, Kakamega, Busia, and Vihiga before it collapsed under decades of neglect and mismanagement. This administration took the politically difficult decision to settle historical cane farmer debts, reform milling operations, and bring private capital and accountability back into an industry that had been left to die. Fertilizer subsidy reached our farmers directly, cutting out the cartels that had captured the input supply chain for a generation. Coffee and tea farmers in our region similarly have for the first time in years received direct payments reflecting the true value of their produce. I do not speak from a distance on this. I was at Zoya Company only last week, and I saw with my own eyes the new milling machine the president personally promised our farmers. It is running, and it's running well. In fact, the challenge Zoya faces today is not broken factory. It is over 250,000 bags of sugar sitting in the warehouse because production has recovered so strongly that we must now urgently secure markets to move it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the kind of problem we're having. It is the problem of revived industry, not a dying one. I represented the Council of Governors at the International Sugar Council in Miami, and I can tell you plainly, the world is watching what Kenya is doing to rescue its sugar bed, because the reforms are real, and the smallholder farmer, not the middleman, is finally at the center of the story. Let me give you an honest progress report. Project, because a technocrat's audience deserves facts and not adjectives. On the Matulo airstrip, the procurement process for constructing of a new terminus and extension of the runway has been concluded. The tender will be awarded next week on Tuesday, and works will commence immediately thereafter. That is not a promise on a poster. This is a project moving on schedule this month. On markets, 20 modern markets are under construction across Bungoma County, among them Echemkube, Sokukwa, Chwele, Buye, Naitiri, Cheptais, Mateka, Lwandanyi, just to name but a few. These are not small undertakings. They are the trading floors on which our farmers, our mama bogas, and our small traders will build family fortunes for the next generation. On roads, the Musukoma Sangano Nakaholo Road and the Tarbo Naitiri Second Road are ongoing. The Kimilili Kapsokwanyi Road tender has been awarded, and works will commence anytime. Rural electrification has also been most of the places. Beyond that, beyond the transformer, the Bungoma Smart City Initiative and affordable housing units rising in our towns continue to take shape. I want to be candid with you in this room of professionals. Not every one of this project is complete, and I will not intelligence by claiming so, but I have personally inspected them, and I can report project by project are progressing satisfactorily. Tenders concluded, contractors on site, timelines being kept. And in Chemogi, on the slopes of Mount Elgon, we have already opened a high altitude training center. I'm sure those of you are there know where it is. The rollout of the Social Health Authority, whatever teething problems accompany any major national reforms, has extended a safety net to households in Western Kenya. That grievously paid catastrophic sums out of pocket for hospitals care. University funding reforms, though contested, have kept more of our children from Bungoma, Kakamega, Busia, Vihiga in lecture halls rather than at home. And our partnership with UNICEF on child welfare, immunization, nutrition, school connectivity, and child protection is building the huge capital on which every other achievement depends. As a pioneer governor since 2013, I have seen administrations that treated evolution as a threat. This one has, for all our disagreements over the size and timing of disbursements, continue to release resources that lead counties like Bungoma pursue their unfinished business of devolution. And I want to confirm that for the first time, as counties, we close the financial year with all our money in our accounts. That has never happened because we've been waiting for over 3 months. Functional hospitals, county roads, agriculture extension services closer to the farmer than Nairobi could ever reach. Technocrats in this room sat in treasury, in state corporations, in ministries when this administration took the oath of office in September 2022. You know better than any rally crowd, what was in the books. A public debt bill up over the preceding decades, now naturally maturing at once. A worsening forces on drought across the north and parts of our western region that had crippled food production before a single new policy would take effect. A global economy reeling from the aftershocks of a pandemic and a war in Europe that had driven up the price of fuel, fertilizer, and food across the entire continent, Kenya included. I raise this not to excuse any shortfall, but because fairness demands it. A doctor who receives a patient already in distress cannot be judged by the same cloth as one who receives a patient in perfect health. This administration began its work in the middle of a storm it did not create, and the honest measure of this performance is not whether every hardship has managed. So as we conclude, just want to assure you that most of the projects that have been talked about in Bungoma have taken shape, and that is why we are saying that for what has been started, the President Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto should be given 2 terms to be able to complete what he has started. And as I coordinate in this area, the 2-term injili, I want you to join me in making sure that that injili is taken home and dry. Let me see wale wanasema tuko pamoja kwa injili. Hadi ya kuhubiri injili mtapata sakramento. It's now my great pleasure to welcome the head of public service to come and finish for us.